What is the subject here in this little deal we got going here? What is the subject? What's going on here in the book of Exodus, here in the 21st chapter?
Just basic laws.
Basic laws. Now, these basic laws go down to today. And if people followed these laws today in society, we'd have a lot safer societies, wouldn't we? If we followed these laws. If we followed these laws and enforced the law, our problem, we have plenty of laws, but we do not enforce the laws. California is extremely what we might call a criminal-friendly state. It's a very friendly criminal friendly state, because you can do almost anything. They just keep dropping the laws and turning the people loose on us. They ought to put the politicians in prison firsthand and let them see what's going on in there, see how these guys that they're turning out are doing. 21st chapter. Kafar.
Wait, is this verse 1?
Oh, verse number 30, 21, verse number 30. You find it there? You have to go from right to left. Or Kafar, Yoshath, Allah, We Natan, Pidyon, Nafsha, Kiko, Asher, Yushath, Allah. This is quite an unusual law. It kind of sounds like something today. If you got enough money, you can get out of anything. If you got enough capital, you can do whatever you want to do and get by with it. And it's kind of saying like that here, but not quite. We hear the old story. If, that's a little conditional right there. If a ransom, the kafar. Now, what does the word kafar mean, Brother Roger?
Isn't that a covering?
Thank you, Marilyn. A covering. That girl's pretty sharp, isn't she? Especially even when she's asleep. Kafar. Kafar is a covering. And a ransom is a covering. In other words, we are bad people. Okay? We are sinners. But when God looks at us, when we are saved, He doesn't see us. He sees a covering. And that covering is the atonement of Jesus Christ. That's what He sees. And that's the idea of here, is this atonement. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son as an atonement, as a kafar, hilasterion, as a covering for our sins. 1 John 2 and says, and He is the kafar, He is a covering for not our sins only, but for the whole entire world. So if a covering, an atonement, a ransom, He keeps on being imposed. If there's a ransom imposed upon him, and this imposition is imperfect tense, Brother Roger, and imperfect tense means what?
It's happening.
It just keeps on happening. Not going to go away. Not going to go away. This debt is not going to go away. Now, what this guy has done is he has killed somebody. But maybe this killing was manslaughter instead of murder. And so if it's manslaughter, if it's an accidental killing, then he won't have to die. He won't have to go to a city of refuge. He can walk around the streets if he's got enough capital to atone for what he has done. If he keeps on being upon him, he shall have given the atonement. Now right here, a redemption or a ransom, this word is pidyon. That's a little different than kafar. Pidyon here means a ransom now. When Muhammad started his religion, it was not a religion, so to speak. It was not something, do this, and thou shalt not do this, and thou shalt not do that. It did have that, but the whole idea was they spread Islam. You killed, you kidnapped, and you murdered and stole. Now, that's different than what the Bible teaches, isn't it? You don't go steal, you don't kidnap, you don't go kidnap somebody and then ask for a ransom to propagate your religion. Now, we know that the Sakari did that, don't we? That's a Jewish society that this Jewish society kidnapped people. They even kidnapped the high priest one time and demanded a ransom for him to propagate their insurrection. And those are the people that were crucified with Jesus, actually. Redemption for the nephesh. Nafshon here, the nafsho. The nafsho. Now, this nafsho means what? The nephesh. That's a soul, isn't it? But the idea of soul here is not an individual life so much as it is life. Life, to be alive. It is a life. If he has a redemption for his life, can he redeem his life? Now, what is your life worth to you? What is your life worth to you?
Just about everything.
Just about everything. Now, some people haven't thought that way. In the stock market crash in 1929, people were going broke, and they were leaping out of buildings. They were committing suicide. They were laying themselves on railroad tracks and being run over because they couldn't stand to be poor. They'd rather die than be poor. Now, their lives their comfortable lives were spelled with what they had. That's what their value of life was. It's party time and quality of life with automobiles and big fine homes and butlers and etc. So before they would ever give that up, they'd rather die. So their price of that type of life. Now, there's some of them that went out of big homes. This happened, and some of them lived. You hear of the horse Seabiscuit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The guy that rode Seabiscuit, the jockey that basically trained and rode Seabiscuit, his family were fairly wealthy at one time in the stock market. But everything they lost, they become hobos. And he was good with horses. And they told him, here's your clothes, here's this, go away. We can't feed you. Just go do the best you can. We can't afford to feed you any longer. And these were people that were middle class, so-called, maybe middle upper class. Well, he went out and he got a job riding basically racehorses. And they're pretty rough animals. You know, they're powerful animals. And you can get hurt doing that, but he was good at it. And he rode those animals, except he was bigger than he should have been. He was a very large, tall jockey. He had to starve himself. He was starving, but here you're starving, and I know what it means to be hungry because I was very hungry. When I graduated from high school, I was 6'2" and weighed 139 pounds. That's pretty skinny. That's skinny. Now, you never know that now. But the height, I was very tall. And I was thin because I did not eat. I lived on a flying saucer cookie a day and a glass of milk, and it wasn't good for me. I didn't realize that, but that wasn't good for me. Flying saucer cookie is an oatmeal raisin cookie. And that was what I had to live on every day, if I could afford that. That was 15 cents. And I wouldn't ask for anything from anybody. I would not ask. Just would not. I could have asked my mother to help me, but I did not. The hunger is a very important thing. You have to feed that hunger, don't you? It's hard to be hungry. It's difficult. It's painful to be hungry. Well, he not only escaped starving to death, but then he had to starve himself to keep his job because he had to keep his weight down. That's the price we pay sometimes. Now, this person here has committed manslaughter. He is, and you live in the Arab and the Jewish culture at this time. If you killed somebody, if somebody was killed in your family, it was your debt to go kill them. Did you know that? Now, Muhammad had his uncle to protect him. And his uncle was a very powerful man, and Muhammad would have never got any place that hadn't been for his uncle, but he basically anathemized his uncle, cursed him, because his uncle wouldn't believe like he did, but his uncle protected him all of his life. He protected him, fed him, and protected him. Protection money. This is very important because somehow this person has to be protected by either some relative that had money or by his own wealth. Kikal, that means key there is 473 in Brown, Driver, and Biggs. It's kind of like because, or according to all which he keeps on being imposed. This price for his life, they have put a price for his life now. This is what it's going to cost you to stay alive. Now, whether you go out and whether you get somebody to help you with this bond, so to speak, your redemption, your ransom, or whether you have it in your own purse, you better get it. If you want to live, you're going to have to pay the money. The guilty person, if he has enough capital, may ransom his own life if the victims agree on a price for this manslaughter, this involuntary manslaughter. If they can agree, well, this man, and over in that culture, like you kill a goat, you kill a female goat, why, she would have had 40 goats, so you got to pay me 40 goats. You kill my goat, but you got to pay me 40 goats, because if that's how many goats she would have had in her life if she was a young, healthy goat. And you kill that goat, so then you're in trouble. And if the man was young that you killed, then, well, he would have raised his wife and his children, probably his nephews. So now this man would have made this much money. If you killed somebody's chicken, how many eggs and how many babies would the chicken had? You had to pay for all of that. Now, we don't look at it like that today, do we? But when you go out, if you go to work for a company today, and if you if you get hurt on the job, and if you're 25 or 30 years old, they will have to pay you so-called compensation for the rest of your life up to you were 65 years old. That's if you can ever work again, then they got to pay you from that period of time all the way. Not only that, but whatever, if you got hurt and it was a company's fault you got hurt, you can really lay it on them. Now, I lived in all that stuff before OSHA, most of it. And I got hurt in the oil fields, but they still said, how old are you? How has this affected your life? How has this affected your marital relationships? It tells you how about your children, all of this kind of stuff. How has it affected you? And they go down there and they're supposed to judge, and that's exactly what's going on right here. They're supposed to judge how this accident has affected your life. And if you hurt somebody and they were crippled, then you had to pay them all of their life for as long as it said before. This is public safety and public damage, property damage, and property liability. How much? What do you do? Now today we have an insurance company. We are insurance poor, most of us, aren't we? And the insurance companies, you have to insure your house, you have to insure your car, you have to insure your property in your house, you have to insure your health, you have to get health insurance, you have to get prescription insurance, and all of this. A lot of insurance, a lot of outgo. I remember before I was 65 years old, at last, the insurance companies were pouring it on me so bad I was paying $2,100 a month in insurance. And I had to have insurance because I had cancer. And I couldn't drop it. So I was a victim of the system. 21 verse 31. Oh, then, Yagah, O, Voth, Yagah, Kamishpat, Hazeh, Yaseh, Lo. Now we have O here. This is like a little correlative, okay? It's whether or O, whether or son. The word son, bien. Remember what that means, Sharon? According to a pattern. A son, and Wigah, he keeps on goring. Son, Yakach, keeps on goring, or a daughter. He keeps on goring, pushing. Third person masculine singular cal imperfect. According to judgment, Kamishpat. Kamishpat. Now we have a hotel in Tonopah, Nevada called the Mizpah. The Mizpah. It comes from this type of thing. That's where Jacob and Laban met and they made a Mizpah. All right? They made an agreement. They made a covenant with each other. And a covenant is an agreement to not kill each other. Now, if you can come to a covenant, an agreement on how much this property damage was and property liability, how much you're liable for and whatever, you can stay alive if you can come to this agreement. This, hazeh, yaseh, and he shall keep on being done. Shall keep on being done. Third person masculine singular nephel imperfect to him. Now let's read these last two in the Amplified Bible. Verse number 30 and 31. If a ransom is put on the man's life, then he shall give for the ransom, for the redemption of his life, whatever is laid upon him, whatever is agreed upon him. Okay? Verse number 31. If a man's ox has gored another son or daughter, he shall be dealt with according to this same rule. He's got a dangerous animal, doesn't he? And a dangerous animal is what? It's considered a liability. Even today, if I go out and buy a Rottweiler or a big German Shepherd or a wolf or a Doberman Pinscher and put in this yard here, I'm liable. My insurance company is going to raise my insurance price up because I have a dangerous animal out there. And to some extent, it's from these very verses right here in the Old Testament. Im Ived, Yikach, Hashor, or Amah, Kesef, Shiloshim, Shikalim, Yetan, Li Adonah, Wihashor. Yes, Segel. All right. Now, do you see these doggishes in there? And it's doubling these words or these letters and everything. If, again, a conditional. If a male slave. Now, what is a slave?
Property.
That's property. The Civil War was fought over states' rights. And then to finish the war, Abraham Lincoln decided to throw in slavery. And the South was trying to make an agreement already. They had sent an embassy wanted to send it to Washington. He wouldn't let them come because he wanted to abolish slavery. And if the South came back in the Union without abolishing slavery, we'd still have slavery. So he decided that we're not going to treaty with them. We're going to ignore that, even though they asked him, did they do this? Oh, no, not that I know of. Oh, yes, they had. He wanted the Union back together, all right, but he wanted to do away with slavery altogether. And if a male slave, he keeps on going, the ox, or a slave girl of silver. Now, what is the slave word? It tells you. The word silver, that kasef there means money. It literally means money. But we say it's silver. At one time, 30 pieces of silver, 30 shekels of silver, that's the price of a healthy slave. Now, going back into history again for a moment, I like to use these historical illustrations. Silver is very important to people. If you don't have silver or gold packing your money is worth nothing, really, in all reality. It's worth words, and that's all. It's not worth anything. Now, in China was so advanced, so much more advanced than all the Western nations. They would go out there. They had 318 ships at one time in their great armada. They would go, and it looked like, and the big ships were bigger than anything that the West had. Giant ships. They would go from place to place and just look around. There was nothing there they wanted. These people were filthy, they stink, they're diseased, and they're poor. There's nothing there we want until something happened. The Columbia Exchange. What happened in the Columbia Exchange? After Columbus came to America, they discovered silver. I mean, they came over here looking for gold and silver. That's the Spanish, that was the Catholic Church. They wanted all this money to support their Vatican and all of that. Well, they started carrying ships, loads of silver back. The Chinese, to buy something in a culture, if you want from one end of China, and China is a big nation, if you want from one end of that nation to the other, you could take a certain amount of coinage and you could buy a house, and all houses cost like $300. The furniture cost $50, and you did all this. It was that way everywhere. And they carried printed money. They printed money. And you could buy a house, you could sell your house here and go over there 1,500 miles away and buy another house for the same price, and you could just exchange it. But then, they didn't have enough silver to back up their money. And so they began to have like great big coat hangers, big pieces of wire. They only had brass and bronze. And they'd have to carry these coins around that they'd have to put on an ox to carry it, to go to town to buy a piece of furniture or something, because no longer now with the paper money, they didn't have enough silver to back their paper money. Even though they had a good system that was fair throughout the whole nation of the different provinces of China, but they didn't have enough silver to back it. And so they found out over here in America that Spain and Europe was taking out tons of silver. And so they began to be friendly to Europe because they had something that they needed. They wanted this silver to back their coinage. And then they would take, and this was the same way this money was. Now they had shekels, they had pieces of money. You cut off a silver bar, you cut off so much of it, and you weigh it. The Bible talks about weighing the scales fairly, and because they're weighing silver many times. And so much silver would buy this. Well, it took 30 shekels of silver to buy a male or female slave. And over there in China, they began to cut off pieces, and they would cut it off, not saw it off, but they would cut it off because if you saw it off, you're losing the silver. They would chip it off with a with a sharp object. And then they decided to make coins. And this is coins here. And so they started making coins, and now they didn't have to take an ox load of brass coins to go buy something, because now they had silver to back theirs. And that's why they got interested in commerce with Europe, was because of the silver. That's money. This is money here. This Amma, this slave girl. Now, what kind of a Amma? What does that mean? A slave girl. This is a young slave damsel. And 30 pieces of silver. And then it says shekalim, shekels. Here we got the word shekel right out of the Hebrew language, shekel. That's a certain weight of silver. And yatin, and he shall keep on giving li Adonai, to his master. And the ox, he shall keep on being stoned. Third person masculine singular, nephel, imperfect. Go over to 21:33 now, 21:33. Wiki, Yiftach, Ish, Bor, O, Ki, Yikra, Ish, Bar, Willow, Gakisanu. See, that's a double N in there too. See that? Gakisanu, we Nafal, Shama, Shoer, O Hamor. Let's look at these things. And when opening, he shall keep on opening a man a pit. Now here is public safety. If a man digs a ditch and leaves this open pit open, he's in trouble. You can't do that. You have to have, now we have cones around things now, don't we? Cones around it. Don't go there. It's a pit or whatever. A pit, or when he may keep on digging a man a pit, and not, he keeps on covering the pit, and the pit is by the way, it's a masculine pit. Him. They keep on covering him. That's third person masculine singular, PL, imperfect, with a suffix of third person masculine singular, if he keeps on covering him. And he shall have fallen in there, someone has fallen in there, an ox or a donkey. What about this shoer? Can you tell me anything about shoer, brother, that ox? You know anything about that word?
No.
That word is a work animal. That's what we call livestock, a beast of burden. And then a donkey, a hamor, this donkey. What about the root of that word donkey? What does that mean? By the way, this is a male donkey. This is a jack. A male donkey. What does the word donkey mean?
Let's see. It's an unclean animal,
Yeah.
and that's where I'm limited.
Okay, how about Sharon? Do you remember? A donkey means to walk carefully.
Oh, that's right, yes.
To walk carefully. Donkey means to walk carefully. Now, a donkey is very spooky about a ditch or something, but if they're out there in the dark and he walks and falls in the ditch, and the most unlikely animal to fall in a ditch or in a creek or something is a donkey. Because donkeys won't go where it's unsafe. In the army, when they had war horses, they didn't have war mules or war donkeys, so to speak, because donkeys don't want to go in that. Horses don't want to go in there either. There's a movie here a while back, a few years ago, called War Horse. I don't know whether you saw that one or not, but this war horse went to the war. They conscripted this horse off of this farm, and they took this horse into the cavalry. I have seen cavalry bids that are unbelievable severe, because a horse doesn't want to go there, and you have to make that horse go there. You have to really hurt his mouth to make him. That his brain is telling him he's afraid, but you have to do such severe damage to his mouth that he will forget about being afraid. Now, a donkey, you just can't do that to. A donkey, I don't care what you put in his mouth or what you do to him, unless you were shocking him with a hot shot or something, he's not going to go there. Because he knows better. He's not going to get hurt. He doesn't want to get hurt. You can turn a donkey out here, and a donkey will not eat so much that he cripples himself. A horse will. A donkey is a very intelligent animal. And the reason why they're putting this down here is this donkey is a careful animal, and this guy has been belligerently made his property unsafe. Belligerently. That even a donkey could fall into it. An ox, sure, but a donkey is careful. But this donkey is going to fall in it. Now, I've ridden donkeys and I've trained donkeys. And I told you about a movie that I was in one time. Maybe I know the audience out there hasn't heard this story. But we were making a movie in Fish Lake Valley, and I was working on the Cord Ranch at the time. I was one of the horsemen on the ranch. I was the assistant horseman. My dad was a horseman. But I was training 2 paired twin donkeys for harness. And they were making the movie The Nevada Story, which was a documentary. And they saw me driving this donkey, and they said, oh, well, come here. We want you to do this in this movie. They conscripted me and that donkey, so to speak. And they took us out there, and I was supposed to ride out. They were doing the cameras, and my dad was riding an Arabian horse, cutting cattle with it, and they wanted me to ride a donkey because a donkey is a wild animal of Nevada. You know, there's a lot of wild donkeys, and this was a wild donkey that I had was training. So I was driving the donkey down there, and they said, we want you to ride him. I said, he's never been ridden. This is a wild donkey. Donkey's never been ridden. Well, that's better even yet. You know, I wasn't going to tell them no. They're going to tell me what to do. You know. These are big shots. So I got on the donkey, rolled up my driving lines, took the harness off of him, so to speak, and so he would look like I was riding a donkey with nothing on it, so I had nothing to hold on to with this donkey, and the donkey had never been ridden before. And so I rode the donkey down through there, and we came up to a ditch. A ditch where water, and there were fish in the water. Creek went right through the ranch. It still does that. This creek, this Leidy Creek, goes right through the Cord Ranch. And I rode up there, and I said, the donkey's not going to cross that. And they said, don't worry. They picked me and the donkey up and put us on the other side. Well, that spooked the donkey real good right there. He didn't want anybody carrying him over a ditch like it's talking about right here. He didn't want to go. Put him on the other side, and he was a little bit spooked. And so we went on down. They said, kick him out. We want you to trot him in front of the Cord mansion. Cord had this guy named Williams, I believe, build this mansion in 1939. He paid $50,000 to have this mansion built, and it's a kind of a big horseshoe-shaped type place. They wanted me trotting that donkey and riding that donkey in front of that mansion. So I said, this is a little dangerous here, guys. I said, okay, we got you on the camera. Do it. So I'm kicking him out, trying to make him trot. So he trots a little bit. And about, I don't know, right just about got even with the house. Something spooked him, and he bucked and threw me up in the air, and I hit the ground flat on my back. Knocked the breath out of me. I said, well, get back on him. You're all right. You know, we'll rub you down with a roll pin later on or something. I got back on the donkey, and I did it again, and they got it on camera. But the donkey was smart. This is a smart animal. If this donkey falls in this ditch, it means the guy was belligerent, and it was a very unsafe thing. You couldn't see the ditch. He goes off, and you fall into this ditch. This is a very dangerous situation. Public safety. Baal. ha-baor, Yishalim, Kesef, Yashiv, Livalo, that is, Wehameth, Yeh, Lo. Okay, now the master, the pit, he shall keep on paying a reward or finish or make peace. This word shalom is there. And shalom does not mean make peace, but it means what? An agreement. Shalom does not mean peace to you, it means an agreement. No Jew and no Arab over there in the lands is going to say shalom and mean it. Not going to be that way right now. Make peace. Third person masculine singular, PL imperfect. He shall keep on making an agreement. Of money, kasef, this silver, this very, very precious metal. Because this is a standard of commerce. And he shall keep on bringing back for his Lord, and the one dying, he shall keep on becoming to him. Let's read this now. The one dying, the dead animal shall keep on being his. Now, a dead donkey, what are you going to do with a dead donkey? Go throw him in a garbage pit. That's the burial of an ass or the burial of a donkey. That's what they were going to do with Jesus. They were going to throw him out there in the garbage pit and set the garbage pit on fire. A donkey, you can't eat it. Verse number 33 and 34. If a man leaves the pit open and digs a pit and does not cover it, and an ox or a very careful donkey falls into it. That's what I want you to understand. This animal's careful. He's not wild. Out here, I had an old horse out here called Kmart one time, and I dug a ditch out there to put the gas line in out to the rent house in the back. That cost me $17,000. For each one, there was two of them. $34,000 it cost me to run out there, and I had a horse named Kmart. Kmart was a great big old quarter horse. He was real tall, and he got walking around out there, and that horse fell in the ditch. Not only did he fall in the ditch, but he put a bunch of dirt in there, so I had to dig it out again and shoo him off. Then I had to put something up where he wouldn't fall in the ditch. It didn't hurt him, but he made a big mess. And it reminded me of this verse right here. And the owner of the pit shall make it good, and he shall give money to the animal's owner, but the dead beast shall be his. The dead beast shall be his. Do you have any questions? Are you enjoying this a little bit? This is a common law. This is common laws that we need to remember every day. (35 and 36). Let's read them real carefully and quickly. Wiki Yekov Shoah Ish Et Shoah Re'ihu Wameth Yumakeru Et Hashor Hahe We Chasu Et Kasfer Wigam Et Hameth Yichitsun. Wiki. And if, when he keeps on striking an ox, a man, et the ox, see that sign of direct ox, and the ox is friend of him, and he shall have died, they shall have sold the ox, the living ox, the one living, and they shall keep on dividing its silver, and also the dead animal they shall keep on dividing. The dead animal they shall keep on dividing. This is just common stuff. We'll go back and look at this a little better. Oh, Naldo, Ki, Shoer, Naga, Hu, Metimol, Shiloshom, Willow, Yesh Me Renu, Bealo, Shalim, Yashalim, Shor, Sashat, Hashor, Wihameth, Yiyah, Yo, Lo. And if he had been known, that ox, prone to gore him from yesterday, from before today, a third day, and not, he shall keep on watching or guarding him, his master, his owner. To reward, he shall keep on rewarding the ox for ox, and the one dying he shall keep as his. It shall keep on becoming his. And we finish the 21st chapter here. And if a man ox hurts another ox so that it dies, they shall sell the live ox and divide the price of it, and the dead ox also they shall divide between them. Or if it be known that the ox has gored in the past, and its owner has not kept it closed in, he shall surely pay the ox for ox, and the dead beast shall be his. Now, have you ever been around very many stallions, Brother Roger?
No.
How about you, Sharon? You ever been around a stallion? A stallion is a very powerful beast. And Maryland had a guy out here staying out here, and he had an Arabian stallion. And you know, this fence out here is only about 4 foot tall. At that time, it didn't go all the way up like that. It was just where it was down below. And that was a stallion, and he put it out there, and he wanted to keep it out there. And I told Marilyn, I said, Marilyn, you can't keep that stallion there. I said, stallions are dangerous. And I said, it's got to be a 6 foot fence by law. If that stallion gets out and hurts somebody, we're in a lot of trouble. So we told him he had to take the horse and put it someplace else. Did you know that? Stallions are very aggressive, many of them are. And they are very powerful. If you want to see how powerful a stallion is, just look at me. If you saw me, you would see teeth marks all over me. This ear was cut half in two. My neck was broke. I had a basal fracture. I was chewed up and spit out and bit all over by a stallion that was mad. Now, I've known a stallion, some woman go by and reach out and bite her and tear her fingers off. One time, even a woman had her breast torn off of her. Stallions are dangerous. Now, there are laws against something like this. If you go down the road here, there's a buffalo down there. They got the buffalo out there, and they had to build a 6 or 7 or 8 foot fence around that buffalo because buffalo are a dangerous animal. They're a wild animal. I don't care, you can tame them and everything, but they still are capable of a lot of destruction. They can run through this fence I've got out here and never slow down, like a Brahma bull. You get a Brahma bull or something, you have to make exceptional enclosure for them, or the neighborhood is not safe. And that's what it's talking about right here. Safety, public safety. And you got a bad ox, you got an ox, a bull, and it's going to be a bull because they were not able, they couldn't make steers out of them, could they? Right. That was against the law. You could not.
No, that's right. So, yeah, that would be a problem.
Yes. So you had to watch your animal if it was dangerous. You don't put a dangerous animal out there to where it can hurt people. The dog fighters come out here and dump their throwaway dogs. And they go into packs, and they're very dangerous. They go in and they kill everything on a farm. They'll kill every animal on the farm, and some of them will just kill to be killing. Spanky, my little dog out there, was one of them at one time. If you look at him, his ears are all ripped and torn and everything, and they had dumped him out here on us. And I captured him and put him in there in the pen because I felt sorry for the little Corgi Rottweiler dog. Now he's a good dog, but he was a dangerous dog at that time. People were shooting them all over the place. They were shooting these dogs everywhere because they had to protect their animals from them because they are dangerous. The farmer called down here one time and he told me, he said, I called the sheriff's office and they told me to call you. He said, there's dogs out there that they've dumped out on my place, and one of them down there weighs 200 or 300 pounds. He's a great big mastiff pit bull looking thing. And he said, I can't get out. I've got to shut my water off my well, and I can't get out there to shut my water off my well. He said, I got to shut it off. He said, go down there and kill them animals. You know, that's what he told me to do. I went down there, and boy, they were vicious. These were bad. That big dog he was like a grizzly bear or something. Powerful, big animal. They wouldn't come out here. They're not going to come out here from the animal control or anything like that. We're too far out in the sticks. They said, take care of it yourself. You know,
Yeah.
take care of it yourself.
What are your taxes for?
That's it. Take care of it yourself. These are dangerous animals. You have to take strong, powerful steps to ensure the safety of the public when you have something out there like this. There was a pack of about 11 or 12 dogs that went out through here at one time. I killed 3 in my backyard. Another neighbor down here, I killed 3 of them here. If you go out there, you'll see a dog imprint on the garage door where I shot him with buckshot, and you'll see the outline of a dog out there. They went right straight down to Don Sabrew's house. He had a grown ostrich, male ostrich. They killed this big ostrich. They jumped over a 6-foot fence and got in there and killed this ostrich. They killed every rabbit. It was like a petting zoo there. They killed his pheasants, his chickens, his ducks, his rabbits, everything. Everything was strewn with death from those. They went down here, and I went down going to church one morning, and they had killed 4 of them right down here at this one. There, you saw them all out in the front yard. They come in and they kill your cats and your dogs. Anything you had in your yard, they would kill it. They killed. They would eat. What do they want? They were turning garbage pans and stuff all over the place, but the dogs were killers. I lost my cats, my rabbits, everything because of these dogs over the years. They're dangerous. And if they will enforce this law, you can't go dump an animal on the side of the road, can you? Especially something like that. That's a dangerous animal. You're liable for it. And these dogs have been taught to fight and to kill. So guess what they do? They go kill. They kill your livestock. They kill your goats. They kill everything. Whatever's there is gone. It is prey. And those people that did that were liable for all of this. But we don't enforce the law. If we enforce the law and we saw them and caught them, even if they catch these people, they won't do anything to them. Even though it's like a $10,000 fine to do something like that, they're not going to enforce the fine. Well, this is the law of the land. This is public safety and liability, and it's right from God's Word. All right? You have any questions? Roger, did we do okay?
We did fine.
All right. Would you dismiss us in prayer, brother?
Father, thank you for allowing us to come together this evening and listen to your word. We always ask that you guide us and direct us from your word and that we observe your will. Several of us are experiencing problems with health and other issues in our life that you know, and I ask that you get us through it. Your will be done and your timing be observed. I ask all this in your name.